Hello there. So you know what I've realized? I have realized that I am not as perfect as I have been being. Yeah. It's kind of funny. If you have been watching my recent videos, you know that I did an alchemy reading where I shared my healing of fear of not living up to other people's expectations. Did that. Then I came around to healing my judgment of incompetence, which you may have heard me allude to in previous videos over time. I called out incompetent men. That was my projection, you know? Because, we're all incompetent at something. It just so happens that I had witnessed incompetence in a certain area, like in the guy who was playing around with my propane tanks outside and actually was smoking a cigarette while he turned the propane tank on to see if it was empty or not. I mean, it was a little bit scary, and I get why I would project onto that any fear about incompetent people. I projected onto that, this is why I don't like incompetence. But really what it came down to was that was lodged in me because I had unprocessed feelings about my own incompetence. And, I had been projecting that one, as you know, so it took me a while to take that one within myself. I guess I was just really scared of feeling incompetent. And it's because I had adapted into competence in order to survive. I had to do it because no one was coming along to take care of me. I knew I had to take care of myself. I'm trying to play like I'm an adult, even though all my insides were broken inner child stuff. So I adapted very well. But what that essentially means is my adaptation was I put myself in a box and I said, this is how I will behave. This is how I will conduct myself. This is how I will handle my business, which meant paying my bills on time, keeping my commitments and my appointments, taking everything very seriously, basically. Taking everything very seriously. And that was to assure that I didn't experience myself as incompetent. Because I did not like incompetence because, of the way it made me feel to be incompetent, is what it came down to. But of course, it also doesn't feel good when other people have been incompetent around me. But if I can handle my own stuff, then their incompetence really doesn't matter to me that much. You know what I mean? It's people are allowed to be as competent or incompetent as they want to be. But before, I was very uncomfortable with it because I was uncomfortable because I had a lodged-in feeling that I hadn't been present with. I hadn't loved myself in the place where I had feelings about myself having been incompetent. So, and then I recorded that, however, in a funny twist, the recording didn't work because I was too incompetent to record it correctly. So when I thought I was recording, I wasn't. And so I did not share that with you, but I'm catching you up to where I am now. And that's why I come to this point where I say, wow, I'm really not as competent as I thought I was. And I'm not as perfect as I thought I was, And I was really content, but what happened was, because I had been unwilling to look at that judgment in myself and because it was ready to be healed, I kept coming up into circumstances where I was being shown my own incompetence. Oh my gosh, it was so terrible. For a few days, about 3 days, I just kept stepping in it, And I was not used to that, because for many, many years, my adaptation worked so well, you know. I was like a robot in some cases, just taking care of business. But in like 3 days, I don't know what happened. Like, oh, well, one of the things was someone had placed an order through my website. I never got notification of the order. And when I got emails from PayPal saying that there was a chargeback, I didn't recognize the name or the amount. So I thought it was a scam email, so I ignored it, like 3 of them. I ignored them. And then come to find out, no, it wasn't a scam. I actually had been paid, and when I looked in the records, I was like, oh, I have been paid for this. Oh, what is this for? Oh, it's for a reading. Oh, shit. That was a month ago. So unfortunately, missed that, messed that up, was like appalled at myself. Something else happened where I went to get some subs with my kids, and I go to pay, and I wanted to use this certain credit card because I usually like use my credit card and then pay it off, use my credit card, pay it off. And I've done this to build up my credit. I have really good credit because of this. This is how seriously I take things. But when I went to pay that with that credit card, I couldn't find it in my wallet, which was mortifying because that never happens. I mean, I'm talking years have gone by and that has never happened to me, that I lost one of my payment methods. So it was okay, I just used my debit card to pay instead, but went to the card to like start the process of like canceling it, but then thought for a minute like, well, where did I last use it? And then like I couldn't even remember, but I kind of traced my steps back and realized that just the day before I had used it at Walmart, and I was wearing the same vest that I was wearing on the next day. It was like a jacket vest, and it was in the pocket. I would never put my credit card in my pocket because like I know that's dumb. Like when I get home, I have to put my keys and my purse in the exact spot they have to be in so that I always know where they are. Otherwise, I'll go through that thing where I lose my shit, and I don't like that. So that was another thing. There was a third thing. What was the third thing that showed me that my incompetence? Let's see if I can remember it. I can't remember it at the moment, but anyway, a bunch of shit happened, and I was like surprised, because these things don't usually happen to me because I've been coping so well or adapted so well. So my coping mechanisms weren't working on these things because it was time to heal these things, right? Sorry, I just realized my little organizer for my cards has been coming apart here on one side, so I probably got to put the screws in it. It's a pop together thing, but it came with screws as well. Yeah, it's popped back. Okay, yeah, I'll put the screws in that to keep it secure. I probably pushed something else into it because here's what has happened now. Oh, another thing was just like a little thing, but I recorded a video with laundry hanging here. Today I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about the fact that I have laundry there. And it's kind of like I set myself free from a box. And like now I found myself very much more sassy, like more willing to complain. Yeah, I hadn't allowed myself to complain because it makes you a victim. So like, why would you spend time doing it, right? So my logic mindset. But there are things like the fact that I just had to place an order for my fin on my paddleboard. I lost the fin on my paddleboard shortly after I bought it. It was a bummer, but I just used the paddleboard without the fin. But this year I was like, no, I actually do want to have a fin because I know it will help with steering the paddleboard. But I had ordered a replacement last year. It didn't fit. So this year I knew I had to buy the replacement that came from the company where I bought the paddleboard $40. $40 for this replacement fin. That's a lot of money for the fin. The whole paddleboard cost $320. So 40 of that was the fin? Wow. So this one I'm going to be putting my phone number on it. I have no idea how I lost it, but that's another example of incompetence that happened. But that happened a while back. And I think I just put it out of my mind because I was like, how did I even lose track of that? You know, because I'm not usually like that. But now that I know that I'm fully capable of being incompetent, it's like it's in my awareness again. It's like, oh yeah, I did that. Lost track of that. And this is just life stuff. No big deal, right? You know? I bought myself a grounding strap because part of what was happening when I was finding myself to be like so incompetent in a lot of areas, I was like, am I wicked ungrounded right now? Because like I don't seem to be coping as well as I usually do. Like this has never happened to me before. I was thinking I must just be really ungrounded. And this is the energy right now on Earth that's happening right now. If you're watching this at March 9th, 2024, it is a really intense time where some people might have difficulty being grounded, I would think, with this kind of energy. You know, we're going up and up and up. So anyway, the grounding strap. You know, the fact that I had to pay for this sucks too, because I used to have these. This is one of the things I got rid of. Because I used to work in a clean room. And we made medical devices. And so we would wear grounding straps. So anyway, I bought this so that when I walk, I can stay grounded. And just help my body get, you know, grounded to the earth. Because it does make a difference. I know this because I used to spend a lot of time ungrounded and dissociated, barely on the earth. And now that I've let go of this like structured way of being, I think that being grounded is going to come back into play as something that I need to make sure I'm consciously practicing. Because I need to remember to do certain practical things that are required to do when you live on Earth, right? So, in one way, it's kind of freeing to be like a person who can fuck up, a person who doesn't have to take it all so seriously. And also I can see how there's one project that I was working on for a while, but I kind of let it go by the wayside because I was having a difficult time with it. And I can see how this thing where I was not allowing myself to be, I was taking everything so seriously. I think this interfered with that particular project, which requires me to be a lot more fun and free and just like funny. And I am pretty funny, but I don't think anyone would really know it except for maybe my brother and sister, because we get to banter and stuff. And my brother and sister are really funny too, actually. You know, I just like a high-minded banter. I really enjoy high-minded banter. So if like, you know, if it's not fart jokes and stuff, great. Because I don't, you know, get into that kind of humor. And I don't really get into like the Three Stooges kind of humor. But high-minded stuff, if you say something that's kind of witty or say something very dryly, just something that catches me off guard or that makes sense, but like it took my mind to click it in and relate it to something else in order for it to make sense. That I like. It's like if you can tickle my brain up here, I like it. Anyway, yeah, so I had this project I was working on, which involved humor. And I had put it aside, but I can see now that I could go back to that project being free as I am now. But it's also scary, right? A little bit scary, but not so scary that I wouldn't do it. Like, I have courage. I have done plenty of things in my life where I had to step in it to just see, you know? Whether it be showing interest in a boy that was likely to reject me or had even already rejected me. or, writing a letter to a company, or, talking about a new idea at work, or, just things. I'll push myself out of my comfort zone for things that I think are worth it. So I think this is worth it. I think, well, we shall see, we shall see. And of course, I don't have anything to offer you in the way of like proof or showing you what it is yet, because I haven't done it. But here I am giving myself permission to also talk about something that I haven't been on the other side of yet. See, I'm just like a human. I'm a regular human. I'm in process. And we are all in process, And that's why it's silly to judge people. And all of our processes are unique and custom. So that's why it's silly to judge people. And, yeah. What a nice thing we get to do here being on Earth, right? Like, you could actually just pick a topic and decide to work on it for a lifetime to master it. And I feel like I've done that in a lot of other lifetimes. And I think that is why I have access to some things, that it comes so natural to me. But of course, those aren't the things that I'm really interested in staying on with, Like, I seem to want to like go into the territories that I haven't mastered yet, that I'm like a newbie at, So that kind of just, I think that comes from the fact that like, oh, I've already done that in another lifetime, like things that I'm good at, like astrology, like shadow work, like, reading energy, like disrupting things. Like, oh, you're in a little quagmire of low density stuff. Ping, ping. Little poignant question inserted here. Eventually that's going to fall apart. But I don't do it like on purpose. It's literally just my curiosity that does it. My curiosity does lead me to like plant little light specks or bombs into dark places sometimes. But I think that's just because that's what I have done. That's just like what I've done for a long time. And it's like liberation, It's like setting something free. Because you could infinitely stay in a loop of density. You could infinitely stay in a coping mechanism. You could, well, I don't know if you could infinitely stay in a coping mechanism. I think you could if it wasn't one of the coping mechanisms that your soul set out to master the topic of, Like if you have a coping mechanism and it's serving you and it's not something that your soul was trying to learn in this lifetime, maybe you can keep it infinitely, I seem to be set up in this lifetime to be like Phoenix rising several times over, like to just come out of the ashes of what I was living into something new. Like, I don't know what lifetime I'm on now within this lifetime, but like a lot. Like, and I'm talking about like new settings, but also like new things to do, new things to focus on, new hobbies, new people, new like set of whatevers to learn about and to live out. Yeah. I guess, I think this is my last lifetime, so I think I just wanted to like check a bunch of boxes off, like, and that's why I think the earlier part of my life I set it up to finish up a lot of hard stuff, and then so this latter part I can go into the more like creator mode, which I feel is an intimidating space to be in, but in a way that's kind of like I like it, you know? And also I wouldn't have wanted to be set free in this space before now. I needed to have that hard knock life to like humble me enough in order to like not be damaging to myself or others with what I create. I even though I'm not going to have to take everything so seriously, I do take responsibility for my contribution to myself and others' lives. That's important as the adult that I have become. Now that I'm out of trauma and I can see a bigger picture, it's like just natural that I would be taking responsibility where I can. It's been an interesting ride. I feel like I've just sat here and bragged about myself for 20 minutes. It's not meant to be a brag. I'm just updating you on where I'm at. If you're watching along and you've seen me, struggle with some things, or you've seen me express my shadow in some places, or you've seen me share my process, I just wanted to catch you up. Here's where we are now. And I just heard moving on up. But maybe I heard that because I have heard somebody else say that in the last few days. I might not be moving up, right? I might be moving to adjacently to another part of densities to, throw some sparkles in there. I, don't, I think it's a little of both. There'll be I don't want to actually tell you what I'm about to do. I just don't want to tell you. I told you a little bit about the project, but I don't want to tell you further than that. Not because I don't want to jinx it or anything, just because I don't trust anybody. I trust myself, but I feel like I'm discerning enough to know that my audience, whoever's watching this, I'd say most of them are wonderful, benevolent, high-minded, spiritually ambitious people, and very wise souls, and some earth angels. And I love that. And then I think there might be, another, segment that's not terrible people, but just maybe grappling with the part of themselves that can't quite be happy for somebody who's happy. That's okay. That's just one part of being human. It's a sucky part. It doesn't feel good. But it's an experience. And sometimes, I feel like it's important to know. And it's valid part of my life that I have struggled and I have done the wrong thing and I have made mistakes and I have not always been, in a higher point of view. And I've acted from fear and survival and a need to survive rather, and lack mindset and just skewed view. I've done all that, So just because someone does that doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that they can never change. It doesn't mean that they don't actually need that experience, because they might need that experience in order to have a perspective that they'll eventually utilize for wherever they do want to settle in life. And, it is a dimension of contrast. We do often learn what we do want by knowing what we don't want. So that means a lot of times we do have to experience something we don't want. So I think it's lovely to give everyone a generous assumption. And I think when we are judging people, like I was judging incompetent men, it always, always, always points back at us. Because that is my perspective, That was just me peering into a little piece of the fragment. And it was one that was distorted in my view, right? It was oh, I see incompetence and it's scary to me and I don't like it. Ew, ew. But that literally was a reflection of something that's in me. It was in me. That's how I saw it out there. And that's with anything. So when my world starts looking and feeling like something I enjoy a lot more, I know that's because I've cleaned up my insides. I've cleared up a lot of misunderstandings. I've loved myself in the places that needed my love and needed to know that I'm still lovable even though. you know? I mean, losing my credit card and forgetting an order, yeah, those things suck, and I hate that, you know, somebody else was affected by my incompetence, but like I've done way worse stuff than that. And I'm still knowing and loving myself and knowing that I did the things that I did in life, that I'm still lovable and I can still trust myself. And yeah, I did have to work to earn my trust back, but worthwhile. Like, God's not up there holding a grudge against me saying, I put you in a place that was dark and cold and lonely and you just made all these mistakes. Shame on you. No, God does not look at me like that. You know? I'm just experiencing a piece of God's energy, and this is, you know, this is what it's been. It's been, for me, it's been a process of going down into those depths and then like finding my way out of those depths, and then like next leg of the journey is like going up into those blissful, joyful states to actually create. And so far I've only had glimpses and like short spurts in those places, you know? And a lot of them were much earlier on, before I started doing this last like 7 years of shadow work. This last 7 years of shadow work kept me from a lot of those like states where you know that like you're instantly manifesting and that you're affecting nature because you are one with nature. Because you know, where nature was responding to me immediately. You know, that's pretty cool. And yeah, I'm really glad to be back up into these spaces where I know that's something I could do. And it's like, you know, we might be like, oh, why aren't you doing it now? It's like, well, because it's kind of, I was wondering the same thing, you know? And I have talked about that before too, like what part of me doesn't want to go do the thing that I know I could or should do. But the thing is, like, I will go for a walk today, but it is kind of cold. It's cold and damp. And the sun's not like very bright. I mean, it does look bright right here, but it could be a lot warmer than it is right now. And, you know, it's just not the most appealing thing. So I did some, you know, stuff around in here, and then I'll go for my walk when the temperature hits its peak for the day. It's the weekend, and I did a lot this week, so I might just kind of chill this weekend and not really pressure myself to like be out and about much. Maybe just try to like commune with nature a bit more and be really in tune with my own energy, and kind of let some of this like sassy girness have some playtime. So how about you? Feeling sassy too? Let's pull a card. Let's just pull a card. What should we do? Ah, yes, this deck. I forget what this deck's called, sorry. It's, I can picture the guy, I just can't get his name yet. Hold on. What's your name? Oh, he just said that's not my deck. That's awesome. I wonder which deck is yours then, because I know I have one of yours. Alright, let's see what this deck has to say for us. James Van Praagh. That was who I was thinking of. Worry is a wasted emotion. Have you ever heard worry is a prayer for something that we don't want? If ever I find myself in worry, I'll give it to God. And, like, I'll just be like, take it right off my shoulders and give it to God and be like, I know you can handle this. I know whatever's happening right now is in is happening for me, is in my highest good. Because worry is the thing that we do about things we don't have control over, right? And there are things we don't have control over. Like, they exist. And so if we don't have control over it, like, worrying about it would only put energy towards the outcome that we don't want. Because that's the vibration that we're in when we worry. Calm is not a weakness. So maybe there is, a situation where it's a little bit in chaos and you don't know what's going to happen and you're not in control. And sometimes in our society, we've been expected to react in a certain way. Like, maybe someone's in the hospital suffering from illness and we're all expected to sit around and worry and, do these prayers. And sometimes, there is a way to pray that's like more effective and correct than other ways. And that is to say thank you. Instead of asking for something and just like giving God and the universe a list of what you'd like to happen, because you can't see the biggest picture of you. So how do you know what's in the highest good of all? Not just you, but all. That's what God has to be concerned with, right? And you can have a preference, but to sit around to worry about something is sometimes expected in our culture as like what you should do. Like, I remember one time my sister and I had an argument about, she said that I should be worried about a certain person. And I was like, I'm not worried, and I wasn't. I genuinely wasn't. I was calm, right? But she took that offensively. She was like, well, why, what do you mean you don't worry? I was like, I just don't. I don't believe in it. And, I was like, I know that worry is a prayer for something I don't want. I know that if it's possible for me to not be in the vibration of worry, I'm not going there. Especially not just because my sister expects me to, But that's an example I can share about, how some people feel it's like obligatory or customary to worry in these cases. But calm is actually the biggest strength there is, because it shows that you trust the universe, and it shows that you trust yourself to handle whatever arises. So if you've worked on yourself enough to do those things in life, calm is what you are. Then we have love is your energy. Oh, lovely people, you probably already know all this. Love is your energy, and love is much more powerful than any of those things, right? So, in place of worry, right? So my sister saying, well, you're not going to worry about this. And I was like, no, I love this person. Love is a good replacement for it, because love says, I am holding space for you. You are someone who matters to me. And love is who I am. So let's vibrate there together. Hold on, I got a cough. I remember doing a reading for somebody and this card came out. And I remember feeling like, oh, because I think about this person. It was someone I knew, as an acquaintance from my social life, I guess you could say. But we'd only seen, it was just an acquaintance level thing. Doing a reading, this card comes out, and I know this card is telling me like this person is like ooey gooey at the core, like this person really is from a high ranking soul group where they know that love is it, and like that whatever they're showing on the outside is not actually who they really are. And there's certainly an argument to say that everybody is love. Love is always your energy, no matter who you are. But I can remember just in that moment of doing the reading, just like realizing, wow, like, yeah, he's wearing like a very thick mask, and like he's had to do that to survive his situations, right? But maybe this is a reminder for us to all think about that in terms of anyone we look at. Even if they don't seem like love is their energy, inside there, love is their energy. Love is our energy, and love is their energy. And if they're love at the core and we're love at the core, then we can vibrate with them there. And we know that the rest is just a mask. The rest is just coping mechanisms and misunderstandings, however few or many they may have, however buried in the density they may be, and however close to being free they might be. Love is your energy, love is my energy. And it felt good. That person's reading ended up being that like they were about to come into a spiritual awakening. And I remember just feeling surprised. I don't know, I just didn't know it about this person. I guess because I never read them deep enough. I never had the opportunity because we were just acquaintances. I never like purposely put my focus into them, I guess, And I think it was probably because this person, there was an earlier time in my experiences with them when they kind of like, what's the right word? Turned their nose up at me. Yeah. Every once in a while you'll see a person like that outwardly maybe roll their eyes out of the, and you see it out of the corner of your eye, and it's directed at you. And, when stuff like that happens, I know not to take it personally, but I also know like, oh, that's not someone that I really need to put in investment into, because that's not someone who's, wanting to get to know me on any level that like matters to me anyway, And that's fine. Like I'm not saying that's wrong, but like that had happened. And then here we were like a year or two later, and I remembered that, but here this person, I was set up, at a table so anyone could come have a reading from me, and this person did. And that reading revealed like they were about to go into a spiritual awakening, and that love is their energy. And I was, for me, it was kind of cool to have like that, oh, because I knew then that I hadn't bothered to look at this person very deeply because of my previous assessment. So I knew that what I had been doing was holding on to a previous version of this person in my mind about, who they were. And so here, I think this is what this reading is kind of saying to us all, a reminder that we are all growing and learning every day. Sometimes things can shift really, really fast for people, and they won't be the same person that they were yesterday or an hour ago. That to really be love is that we do vibrate at that place of our heart where we can line up with another person's heart. And they may or may not be willing, but we always go back to that place. That we take our energy back from previous experiences with people, to give them that fresh slate. That we don't hold the vision that we had of somebody from a previous time that we interacted with them, because at any time, someone could become fresh and new and rise like the phoenix and completely change their lives. And they can also do it on a very quiet level. They don't have to make a big ruckus while they do it either. It could be an internal shift of mindset or or a healing that they do in the quiet of the night in their bed while they cry. Anyone can show up differently at any time. And since love is our energy, we can see anyone in the heart space. That's really cool and beautiful, and I like it. Yeah. I really like that. What do you think? Does that message resonate with you? Does it bring up any thoughts? Do you have any stories to tell? All right, see you next time.